Today's guest is multi-FNCS winner Veno. From being bullied, being banned, never giving up, being on a mission, all the way to being a strong leader and guiding the next generation. Veno will be speaking about why mental is the most important as a tier 1 player, about supportive parents, and he will be giving a roadmap to the top, making sure you don't need to fall in the same mistakes. Veno, welcome to the second episode of Coaching the Coach. But first, you know, we have a TikTok crowd. Let's start with some wisdom. What would you give yourself as an advice? Like a roadmap to the top?
I think like the easiest answer to this and like the best answer is keeping it fun, because when you get to like my stage of my career, it's like, okay, you have to be very disciplined, like it's a job, but you don't want it to feel like a job when you're 16, 17, and it won't necessarily feel like a job. You should really try and keep Fortnite fun for as long as possible, because that's when you're going to be at your best, and that's when you want to learn things rather than needing to learn things. And I think that's like the best way to play out your career. Then once you become a pro, try and keep it for as long as possible. When you start to lose it, that's when you have to start again disciplined.
Those TikTok kids are already gone. So if you're still here, let us know in the comments. Veno, you are one of the players that I followed the longest. I saw you grow, taking control of your own future. I saw downs, but also many ups. Veno, I've always seen you as one of the players with the biggest self-belief. Many players say they are confident, but you live confidence. Some say it's very cocky attitude, but in your case, I see it as a superpower. You're confident in your abilities. So how do you experience that self-belief, and what are the positives and the negatives to this?
One big positive is like how I always looked at everything was like, if I play my best, it doesn't matter if any other team plays their best. Because if I play my best, the tournament's done. It doesn't matter. I'll win by 200 points. It was only a battle against me, always.
So you versus you.
I mean, that's pretty much what it always is in Fortnite. It's just you versus you. Like, some people are very focused on other players, but I've always been like, okay, I want to get my shit right, and then focus on then solving other people's, you know, what they're going to do against me. But it's always been a me against me battle in Fortnite.
And what are the negatives because of your strong self-belief? Because you always say, I can and I will do this.
I think like the negative, like it's not exactly a direct negative to that, but it's like because of the expectations I held myself to and like the confidence I had in myself, the way I took it over to teammates, like it didn't necessarily fit as well. For example, like how I talked to Vika, how I talked to Clicks, how I talked to many people in my career, like my teammates. I talked to all of them the same, but the results are different because they're different people. So I always try and think to myself, okay, I look back at how my old IGLs used to speak to me. Like, not Queez necessarily, but the ones before that when I was on my come up, they talk to me as if like I was dirt, right?
Yeah.
But I never saw a problem with that because I know all they wanted from me was be the best version of myself. So why did it matter? So when I try to put things towards people, like I wouldn't degrade them, but I just try to be like, okay, you play that badly. Like that was shit from you. Like, you're playing really sure now. I need to play more. I need to be locked in. Like, I just give it to them straight. And, like, whether they can take it or not, it's always up to them. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say. It only matters what you do with it.
No, sometimes you can shout. So many times just for the content. So that's already something we gotta say. We've discussed the roadmap of the current state of Fortnite. But if you go back in time and you had a chance to adjust or protect young Veno, what would you change in that moment where you started and how you became here? What is a typical trap that the current mid to high level player might experience and is just limiting their future?
I'm probably say like 3 things. Just like, one, definitely complacency. It can get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm the best. I don't need to play anymore. But you don't think that in your head. You know you still need to play, right? The amount you played on your come up compared to what you play now just goes down. And that's okay if you use your hours better than how you did when you were younger, but you just don't use your hours better. And also you've got like a bunch of distractions in your life. I don't know, like I feel like I have no distractions in my life. I feel like I live and breathe Fortnite.
Okay.
I don't really have much else to do, which is kind of a sad thing, but also like that. Yeah, 1, complacency. 2, well, you're growing up. So like naturally, it's like, okay, I want to get out, I want to socialize, I want to go drink, I want to go do X, Y, and Z. And some people just fall into that trap of continuously doing it and forgetting what's right at home, playing on the computer.
Okay, that's the second. What was the third?
I mean, I'd have to say like ego. It's not exactly the same thing as complacency because, for example, I wouldn't say like to say something about Taysom, for example. I don't think he became complacent. He was so stubborn in his ways that he couldn't keep adapting to how things continuously change over Fortnite. I mean, you know who the best players are because they've been here since day 1 and they're still cracking.
Now, it's funny because I had a side story and you just said like going out and stuff and 1337 bootcamp, a missing shoe. Nobody doesn't know anything, but maybe you know what I mean. Even to the point there, I think you knew we had Lincoln Media that placed cameras on you, linked to secret Twitch streams, so we could follow you play. I could see you breathe and everything. That'd be a moment in time where you would have stopped yourself and you would go even more in, or no?
You know, one thing I will say, I think that moment had to happen because I wouldn't have learned from it. I think like I wouldn't go back and change anything over my career, even the second places, because, you know, with these second places, you know, the one I just had, I always say to people was like, either it's gonna break you, or you're gonna keep going. Like the days after my seconds, like I thought about them so much, nightmares, all this, like they got to me. Now it's at a point where it's like, okay, like I know where I have to go from this. I have to take the passion and keep going. It goes back to that point there, like at that boot camp where it's like, yeah, like that happened. It had to happen. It's just the reality of it. Like I know the people I was there with, and I know the road they went down, and instead of continuing to flourish.
Yeah, you changed course.
But like I don't know how. Sorry, I don't know how much I changed because I still enjoy those things, just not on work time.
You grew up compared to that moment.
Yeah.
We just keep it like floating. Viewers won't know what happened there. Something I want to jump to, because you also say like, hey, yeah, second place, I had nightmares. And many times I have people ask me like, how can I overcome that? I feel so bad. How did you just pick yourself up in those moments? Because in those moments, your world crumbles away. How did you pick yourself up?
I can say about my second place. So that was All Stars. I thought I'd won. One thing about that, you can go back. Actually, I don't know if it's in like DJ's recording, but the first thing I say after, when I realized I got second, all right, bet. I gotta go and take this. I said, no, he said, how do you feel about getting second place? And I said, I don't care. I just gotta keep going now. This is showing me I can compete at the very, very top. I knew that already, but this cemented it. Now I just gotta keep at it. I'm one of those players that can win an FNCS now. We gotta keep going. Like that one, like, yeah, like, it gave me a bit of heartbreak that I didn't win, but it gave me the passion to believe like I can keep going. And that was one that was very special for me because my parents didn't know I was playing a finals. And when I told them, like, that was really what cemented. I just got to keep going.
In the intro, you haven't heard it, but I start there with from being bullied, being banned, to never give up. Now, I remember I could get so angry back in 2020 when they would mock you on your stream. The red, stinky, and you don't smell. I've heard it from clicks that you actually smell very well, but kids were kids. And also they were jealous. At that moment, there was a lot of toxicity. But I also seen you use this to finesse your way into groups of better players. Now, how did you experience that time with the toxicity, and how important were the people around you, the player levels in the Discord group you hang out with? So how important are the people around you?
Well, from that, it was like I never really cared what they said. To be honest, like these are things like I've heard of before. Maybe it was no insults, but I still hear Electro and shit like that. But like I'm not really too bothered, you know. I think what I always said, there's this Cristiano Ronaldo quote I really like: "Your love makes me strong, your hate makes me unstoppable." I really like that one because, you know, people hate no matter where you are. I could win FNCS and people still gonna hate me. I'm not too bothered. All I'm focused on is myself. The thing with that, like how I got into like bigger friend groups is because like, your dick suck a little bit, you know, to get friends with like people who are better. Because the easiest way to get better is to keep playing against people who are better than you. I think like the best mixture when you're trying to come up is like your people who are trying to go pro, and you gotta have your people who are pro, and you gotta have some people who are just chilling. You know, we can have our relaxing moments, we can have our grind moments. We just constantly play. Because at that point, it was fun for us. It didn't feel like a job. Now, if I want to invite someone to play now, they got to think, I want to eat first. I want to do this. No, it doesn't matter. These guys would have played Insta. And that's like, I think, how you have to think about it.
I loved it because I would watch the streams just to feel how close you were together and how you lifted each other as well. Now, with those words, I've seen when somebody was more negative, it fueled you like crazy. Like you said, prove them wrong, and you always did. You always shut them down.
I always try to. It's like nothing ever really stuck with me. It was never like those words never like hit me at the last bit of emphasis. What I always say now is like if someone ever said something about me, it motivated me to get on the game, right, and keep at my craft. Yeah. But like, I was having a discussion with my mom yesterday. I was like, she was like, I was telling her like, I don't believe in motivation, and she was like, that's stupid. Like, you should believe in motivation. I was like, listen, like I've played this game. Like, I'm telling you, like, motivation, all it does is get you onto your computer. Now you're gonna have to get on every day for at least another 3 weeks or whatever, right? I'm telling you, like, discipline is the most important thing to this game. Not asking other people about their sense, whatever, right? Like, the only thing that matters is you open the game and start playing.
100% agree, because many people, they will be watching YouTube motivational videos, but they go into the rabbit hole and keep watching the motivational videos without having the discipline to put one step. And discipline is putting one step and then next one and keep doing it until you just become the best. So
yeah, my dad liked those kind of videos, but like I was someone who was like, he would always tell me like certain like motivational quotes and stuff like that. I was like, I literally told him I don't want to hear it because it doesn't make me feel anything. The only person who can make me do these things that like I need to accomplish for myself.
Yeah.
Like these words don't mean anything to me. The only words that mean anything to me are WASD.
That's a good one. That's a good one. As a mentor and somebody that had an eye out for you for almost 5 years already, what is something like a technique or wisdom that I taught you that still stands with you that you can share with the viewers? So what is something that I taught you and you're still doing or you will keep doing?
Well, of course, the breathing techniques. Sometimes when I'm feeling like really stressed, I'll do a couple breathing techniques just to relax. I don't remember the name for it, but I just know it. Just to like simmer down, relax, and like I could feel the stress leave my body, and that was the high for me, if that makes sense. Like I would just relax a lot. And then also your ability to tell when my head wasn't in it. It's happened many times recently when you would say to me like, I don't think your head's in it, or like your voice sounds wrong, and I would say like, nah, I'm fine. My head was in it. I don't think I was at 100% capacity because I couldn't recognize it myself.
Yeah,
because I was in my flow state.
That's something that I say with many players. A big reason when I hear somebody's voice, it's some sort of grain, how fast they speak, if there's passion in their voice or not. I can always tell if there's something. And until now, I've always been right. So I'm happy about that. There have been many periods that I've been closer around you, but I've also been from a distance watching you and seeing you perform, even in 2022 on purpose. And during that time, I took a distance and you tweeted at me that you needed me back because nerves were running and you were shaking in finals. How important is it to have the right people and coaches around you, like Destiny Jesus when you started, BloodX in the middle, and now with Raz? And for the viewers, what point is it worth to invest into a coach?
When it gets to the point where things start to stagnate. Okay, all right, I've got a couple top 20s in trio cash cups. I'm struggling to push this barrier, or I'm starting to place top 10 in cash cups, but like, how am I going to start winning? I think is when you start to get a coach, because they give you a different outlook and things start to become a lot more serious. That's when you start to realize, okay, this is not fun anymore. This is a job. I've got to pay someone to make a professional atmosphere. Because what I always say about coaches, like with me now, in the past, like something different, but like now, like towards the end of working with BloodX, like we weren't paying them to educate us on the game.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying them to realistically make a professional atmosphere. So like, okay, you look at these games like League and CS. Okay, you got to be on at 3. Okay, you got to be on at 4. I need you available for these customs if they are to be announced. I need you on here. Okay, guys, we're going to have a vote of you at this moment. Then the person becomes almost the dad of the group, right? You don't necessarily want the IGL, I'd say, like to be the dad, because the IGL still has to keep things fun. Otherwise, your little kids are going to stop playing, you know? And like, I feel like with like most of my coaches, like towards that point, like I wanted to create a professional atmosphere where it was like, okay, things got to happen here now. And that was the most important thing for me when I became tier 1. Now, when I was starting to plateau and like start to get coached, like I think those are the best points when you're not really saying, okay, how can I get better? Because it really provides a different set of eyes. Another set of eyes is very important, in my opinion.
Okay, so if you would go back the Destiny's Jesus time, that's already way back for you, but that's where many of the viewers will be. At which point he came in and it was really worth for you to have somebody next to you game-wise then?
I mean, to be honest, Bloomy actually came up with like my whole solo plan. I only had DJ for solos, but he came up with all my solo plan. I can probably even, like, he wrote it out in a Google Doc, but he had a birthday party when Solo All Stars was. So he was meant to coach me instead of DJ. He prepared everything. But then once I realized he couldn't be there, then I joined Destiny's like solo chord, which filled like all these tier 1s, Tayson, Hand, Chapix, you know.
That might be the strength in that moment as well.
Being with those people like kind of made me realize how serious things were and how much effort I had to put in if I wanted to outplace these people. I needed to keep rising to their level and push past it.
Because that's something we see around coaches. There's always these courts with people, even when it went way back. But being in the right court with lifting people, yeah, it just helps so much in my opinion.
100%. Like I think like this is one that's more recent. Like when Raz asked me, should he work with Queasy? Like, would like it be okay if he worked with Queasy? And I literally jumped and said, yes.
Yeah.
Please work with Queasy. With the NA teams he has, like we're rarely ever talking to them, and like we kind of, and like he had Shark before, like no one could learn off each other. It's almost important that the coaching code is like a friend group. That's what BloodX shit was like. Like it was a friend group. It wasn't necessarily a coaching chord. So like we would learn from each other constantly and like appreciate the grind and keep going. I think like Rapid on NA, like this season was like so important to the Discord. He was someone who doesn't get off the game and keeps coming up with things like seeing little exploits and stuff like that. Not necessarily things we can use in an FNCS, but you could show how hard he was working. And then I was kind of the person where it's like, okay, you've told me I can do that. Now this is what we can do with that. I was more like the idea guy with it.
Now you say with Queasy coming in, I've seen that because before you were hanging out with Queasy and I was like, Queasy's not really grinding. Of course, Swizzy was gone, but for me, he was more pulling you a little bit down because his mindset was not there. When I saw him coming into Raz, I've seen his mindset just shift. Yours went up as well. I'm coming back to the intro. You haven't heard it yet, but there I also mentioned you becoming a leader and guiding the next generation. This weekend, you left a note to inspire Vico. You've led by example. Your biggest example always being your father, and I've seen him on Twitter leave notes for you as well. Can you explain me the impact of supportive parents? I even remember a clip of your mom saying like, hey, when there's tournaments, nobody can go on the internet. How important are supportive parents? And maybe you have some tips to younger viewers to deal with parents.
I've seen like the toughest of parents, and I've seen like my parents. I know a lot of pros who like had like really tough parents. I think we're probably thinking about the same person right now. After every game of their tournament, their mum would be in their DMs like saying how bad they were, and I just couldn't ever imagine that happening to me. To be honest, I moved out because my mum tried and talk to me about Fortnite so much. My dad would never talk to me about Fortnite. My mum was always talking to me about Fortnite. Like she'd always be like, go Kovacs, go Kovacs, go Kovacs. And it started to drive me a little insane. Support parents doesn't necessarily mean they want to know about the game and they want to ask you about it. It just means, okay, they're there if you want to talk about it. Yeah. What my dad always said to me, and this is one thing that always stuck with me, he didn't care whether we were pushing, you know, bins in the street or we were being a CEO, right? The only thing he cared about was if we were the best at doing either of those things. He only cared about that we always put 100% into our work and that we were in the top 1% or top 0.01%. So like it didn't matter like whether we were pushing bins or I was trying to become the best player ever to play Fortnite. The only thing that mattered was that I was putting my 100% into it and he wanted me to be the best.
I've already said it so many times, they raised you well. First, is there something you specific like to add around the mental? How important is it in the scene? And is there something specific?
One important thing to say, and like this is how important mental is. I think on your come up, it doesn't really matter as much because you're in that fun stage. But once you become tier 1, like I think the issues with 99% of tier 1s and tier 2s is all mental. Everything's a mental game. There's reasons why certain guys aren't the best players in the world. And they easily could be, but they don't understand how to flip that switch.
Discipline is also linked to mental. Yeah. People that don't have the discipline, they're out in a no time.
Yeah, like, to be honest, like, I wish I had some of these guys' skills still. I would be conquering, but now I've got to conquer my own way.
You're still doing it. You're still reinventing yourself, aiming for new highs. Hit me with a Veno quote, because I will frame you and put you on the wall very soon.
I said it earlier, but I'm going to give you another one. I'll say it again. I say, your love makes me strong, your hate makes me unstoppable. Cristiano Ronaldo. But like, I'll give you a different one. This is what my dad loved. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's going to beat you to your knees. And you'll stay there permanently if you let it. There's a bit more, but it's a very long quote. It's a Rocky quote.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Thank you already for the first part. This was the interview. If you have questions for Veno or maybe other guests, ask me below in the comments.
Ciao.